Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review of another 80s horror film, and this time it is Alone in the Dark. When the lights go out, the terror begins. Now, this is a film that came out in 1982, and a pretty good flick. I mean, I guess you would call it a slasher film, but it definitely has a hell of a cast. I mean, you got Martin Landau, Jack Palance, Donald Pleasence. You have this guy, Erland Van Lith, who I remember from Stir Crazy with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. He was the big guy in that, who shared the cellmate, shared the cell with them at one point. It stars Dwight Schultz, yes, Murdoch from the TV show The A-Team, which is very cool to see. That's him with the glasses there, fighting Martin Landau. Very cool to see Dwight Schultz in a different role this is before he got the A-Team TV show. I thought Dwight Schultz did a really good job as the new Dr. Dan Potter, who arrives in town with his family, and he's going to work with this doctor played by Donald Pleasence at this mental institution. And the inmates like Martin Landau, Jack Palance, this big guy Erland Van Lith, and then this other guy who we don't see his face but is named the Bleeder. I guess he bleeds from his nose when he gets excited. And these four crazies come to the conclusion that this new doctor, played by Dwight Schultz, must have murdered their old doctor. Just like, where's our old doctor? This new guy? Oh, he must have murdered our doctor. Because they're batshit insane. And then one night there's a blackout in this mental institution, which for some dumb fucking reason, the doors are only locked electronically, so when the power's out, all the doors slide open. I'm like, this is what you did. You should have just had an ordinary fucking padlock or something. This is why I don't think mental institutions have doors this way. They don't have doors where if a power goes out, the doors just slide open. Or, people can get out at least. But yeah, for the movie, that's what they wanted to do, so I'll let it go. It just, in reality, I don't think mental institutions work that way, because that'd be fucking stupid. If you're going to do that, you better have some fucking armed guards there in case there's a blackout at any time. But the four get out, and for the most part, they go to the new doctor's place and terrorize him and his family. Now, this is directed by Jack Sholder. Jack Sholder would go on to direct The Hidden, which is a great flick from the 80s. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, which I really enjoy. It's actually one of my favorite Elm Street films. I think it's a pretty underrated sequel, to be honest. And I think he did Wishmaster 2. I sure remember I reviewed all the Wishmaster movies. Yeah, he did do Wishmaster 2. And what makes the film work is having this cool bunch of characters. I mean, Jack Palance, you get the idea that maybe he was in the military. And I like Jack Palance as an actor. I mean, him and Martin Landau had worked together before in a film called Without Warning about an alien that hunted people for sport. Without Warning came out in 1980. So here they're working together again. Martin Landau, he's a preacher guy. Erland Van Lith, I think they say that he was a child molester. And then, the Bleeder, you don't see his face, but he bleeds from his nose. Donald Pleasence, his doctor is a very weird doctor with a sort of a different case of medicine. Like, he kind of lets the inmates do what they want, and he's friendly to all. And when he first sees the new Dr. Dwight Schultz, he gives him a big hug, and He's the guy who smokes marijuana and offers it to him. So it was kind of fun to see Donald Pleasence, who I'm a big fan of, play a different kind of role. Even the way the movie starts off is interesting, where you find out Marlon Lando's having this dream where he's in this diner and Donald Pleasence kills him by hanging him upside down and slicing him with like a big meat cleaver. Then Marlon Lando wakes up. I'm like, that's a hell of a way to open the movie. Other scenes in the film, Dwight Schultz, his wife, and then Dwight's sister, they go see this punk band called the Sick Fucks. That's the band's name, the Sick Fucks, in real life. Because they're interviewed on the DVD. And if it's not like a big body count film or a humongously gory film, so if you're going into that, you may be disappointed. I mean, you have an orderly that's broken in half. Weirdly enough, the bleeder gets a hockey mask. And this is before Friday the 13th Part 3, or I think the same year, 82. But for some reason I want to think this came out before Friday the 13th Part 3. I know they came out, maybe it was around the same time, but that also had a hockey mask as well. And it didn't look like Jason's mask. It looked more like Humongous from the Road Warrior. But it was interesting to see, you know, even if so briefly, a hockey mask killer before Jason really made it his own. And he takes like this little thing and rips a piece of a person's chest out. And then the bleeder runs off. The babysitter and her boyfriend are killed. The guy gets pulled under the bed. The babysitter gets off the bed because a knife's going through trying to stab her, and then she gets choked to death. Then a cop gets shot with an arrow to the stomach. And then the killers get killed. Most of them. But, I mean, it was really cool to see all these actors in the same film. I thought it went at a pretty decent pace. The movie's only... I forget how long this movie was. 93 minutes? I thought Dwight Schultz was really good in it. Like I said, it's being a big fan of the A-Team TV show, it was nice to see... Oh, wow, there's Dwight playing a different kind of role. And it showed that he could pull it off. And that after the A-Team, he sure got a lot more roles, but sadly he did not. The bad guys had the siege on Dwight Schultz's house, try to kill his family. Before they had met this other guy, I thought this was kind of a decent twist. Where you find out that that guy who's helping them and helps kill the big guy, Erlen Van Lith, by stabbing him in the back with a cleaver, and then hitting a baseball bat to make the cleaver go deeper into the guy's back, you find out that that guy is the bleeder. Because the sister of Dwight Schultz's character hugs the guy, and the guy starts bleeding. And funny enough, this is very similar in a way to that piece of shit film called Valentine. Then maybe we go, did Valentine steal from this fucking movie? Because that movie ends with the woman hugging, Angel himself, and then blood dripping onto her face. And that's where we realize, oh my god, David, Angel is the killer. He's the nosebleed. They do the exact same thing in this movie. Where the woman's hugging the guy, and then the guy's bleeding from his nose onto the woman's face, and you find out that's the killer. I'm like, the person who made Valentine must have seen this film and ripped it off. Because that's a pretty big fucking coincidence. Or someone did. Maybe not the writer, but someone must have fucking had to. And this was like, what, 1982? somewhere around 1982. It was, I think there was. Should have looked it up before I did this. I got a computer here. Why don't I just look up now? But yeah, Martin Landau gets fucked up when Dwight Schultz stabs him in the back of the neck. The bleeder gets fucked up by Dwight's wife. So each character kind of gets their moment. Even the little girl, she cut Erland Van Lift's leg to get him on his knees for the other guy to kill him. Yeah, it was 1982. November 1982. Okay, since I'm doing this, when did Friday the 13th Part 3 come out? Sorry, folks, just checking something real quick. August 1982. But, I mean, both films were being made at the same time, so... But technically, Friday the 13th Part 3 came out first in August 82, and then this came out November of 82, so there you go. But... you know, the bad guys get their just desserts, and then Jack Palance, kind of an interesting way where his character amongst the four, even though he's a killer too, I mean, there's a scene where the characters are driving this van and he backs up and kills this like mailman on a bike, so he's not innocent or anything, but he's thinking of killing the family, or what he's doing, or at least killing Dwight, I should say. And the power goes back on, and on the news he sees that his doctor is alive, and Palance realizes he was wrong. I thought this was kind of an interesting way of doing it, where I think Jack Sholder explained it on the commentary. What's the one thing that can stop a crazy man? You know, rationality. At least in this case. And you know, he realizes that he's wrong, so Jack Palance drops his weapon and leaves. And I thought this was a very... because I like Jack Palance as an actor. Granted, his character is not, quote, likable. I mean, but he wasn't... he did kill people, but he just wasn't as vicious as the other three. And again, the fact that he does this is interesting. And then the way it ends... he goes to a club. I guess maybe the movie's trying to tell us, well, which is crazier, him or the world? Or is the world now just as crazy as him? And so maybe he'll fit right in. Because he goes in this club and he has a gun, but the woman like takes the gun and rub it on her face, putting her out, being happy. It's like... and yeah, I guess it's trying to tell us that, again, which is crazier, him or the world, or the world is just as crazy as him and vice versa, or something like that. It was an interesting way to end the movie. And that's what I mean. This isn't a typical slasher film. That's why it's hard to call a slasher, because it tried to do a little bit more with the cast and the acting and so forth. That I do think if you're a fan of horror, even if you are a fan of slashers or that type of story, this is definitely worth a look. Alone in the Dark. I mean, Jack Palance, Martin Landau, Donald Pleasence, they do a great job. Dwight Schultz, if you're a fan of the A-Team, to see him in a different role before he got that job. It was never boring to me. It went at a good pace. And again, there's certain additions that make it stand out, like the family going to a punk rock band called the Sick Fucks, or the thing with the bleeder. And again, maybe smarter people saw it coming before I did, but I felt stupid afterward for not figuring out. And I'm talking about the first time I saw it. Of course, this is a rewatch, so I knew it, but the first time I saw it, I don't think I put that together. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's the bleeder. And, you know, kind of an underrated film. Like, no one really talks about this movie, and I know I keep showing the DVD, but No one really talks about this movie. Now that I think about it, it's kind of still under the radar. And that's too bad, because this is a pretty damn good one. Just for the cast alone, let alone, it's a pretty solid flick. Again, the whole thing with the blackout and the whole fucking mental asylum, the doors are now open because of that, is a very stupid plot convenience. It's like, we don't know how to get these guys out of the asylum. We do have this blackout idea, so let's just have the doors electronically locked because of it. But it's like, okay, whatever. It's fucking stupid, but whatever. But that's really one of the only gripes I have with it. And, you know, some more death scenes or gore, sure, I would have been happier with that too. But overall, thumbs up from me. So either way, thanks for watching, take care, and stay tuned for another review of another horror film from the 80s. Later.